The nebula Strider drifted through the silent abyss of the Veil expanse, its sleek hull gleaming against the backdrop of a dying red star. Captain Ryan Voss leaned over the command console, studying the holographic readouts flickering in blue light. The ship's quantum core pulsed faintly beneath the deck, a reminder of the raw power housed within this vessel, a power he wasn't entirely sure they should be wielding. "Captain?" said Leora Kyle, his chief engineer, her voice taut with concern. "I'm getting strange energy fluctuations in the region. Something's interfering with our scanners." Ryan frowned, brushing a gloved hand over his short beard in thought. "Is it natural or artificial?" Leora hesitated. "That's just it. The readings don't match anything on record. It could be a subspace distortion, or a cloaked ship." That was enough to make Ryan's pulse spike. He turned to Eric Tane, his weapons specialist, a rugged man with a sharp jaw and eyes that had seen too many battles. "Get the rail cannons primed and raise shields to 25%. Let's not look hostile, but I don't like surprises." Arik nodded, fingers gliding over the console. "Aye, Captain. Weapons hot. Shields ready." The bridge's dim glow pulsed with warning lights as the crew moved into high alert. Then the Veil expanse shattered. Out of nowhere, a Zenith Dominion warship, 3 times the size of the Nebula Strider, ripped through the void, its black-armored hull bristling with ion lances and plasma batteries. "Contacts!" shouted Vex, their hacker and systems expert. "Zenith Warcruiser Immortal Spear. They just dropped out of FTL right on top of us." Ryan's blood ran cold. "Helm, full burn. Get us out of their targeting range," he barked. The Nebula Strider lurched as its thrusters flared to life, but the Zenith ship was faster. A deep, resonant shockwave shook the hull as a tractor beam latched onto them, locking the ship in place. Alarms wailed. Systems flickered. "Incoming transmission," Vex announced grimly. The main viewscreen crackled, then resolved into the image of Admiral Kalis Dorn. His gaunt face was carved from stone, his silver eyes cold and unforgiving. Behind him, the command deck of his war cruiser gleamed with blood-red lights. "Captain Voss," Dorn said smoothly, his voice a blade wrapped in silk. "You're trespassing in Zenith-controlled space." "Bullshit," Ryan shot back. "The Veil expanse is neutral territory." Dorn smirked. "Not anymore." The comlink cut out. Then the boarding tubes launched. The Nebula Strider trembled under the force of the boarding clamps as Zenith shock troopers breached the hull. The air filled with the hiss of depressurization, followed by the heavy thuds of magnetic boots locking onto the ship's interior plating. "Brace for combat!" Ryan barked, unholstering his pulse rifle. Arik and the security team took cover behind control consoles, weapons aimed at the sealed airlock. Leora frantically worked the override panel, trying to lock the intruders out. "I need more time!" she shouted. A deafening explosion ripped through the corridor. The airlock doors blew inward, sending a shockwave of debris and smoke cascading through the bridge. The first Zenith enforcers stormed in, clad in black exo-armor, plasma rifles spitting blue death. Arik opened fire, taking one down with a precise headshot before ducking behind cover. Vex hacked into the ship's internal systems, trying to override the security locks to slow them down. "Too many of them!" Arik shouted. Ryan's mind raced. He had fought the Zenith before. Dorn wasn't here to take prisoners. If they stayed, they were dead. "Everyone to the escape pods," he ordered. "But the ship," Leora protested. "We'll take it back, but not from here." Reluctantly, the crew abandoned their stations and sprinted for the evacuation bay. Zenith troops pressed forward, unleashing suppressive fire. Vex took a hit to the shoulder, crying out in pain as Arik dragged him along. Ryan covered their retreat, laying down a barrage of plasma rounds. His rifle overheated just as a towering Zenith commando loomed in front of him, raising a shock blade. Before the blow could land, Ryan spun and slammed his boot into the enemy's knee, sending the commando staggering back. He seized the moment, drawing his sidearm and planting a shot between the trooper's eyes. The momentary victory meant little. A new alarm blared through the ship. The Zenith fleet was overriding the ship's AI. The Nebula Strider was being taken from them, locked down, converted into enemy property. Ryan cursed under his breath as he launched himself into the last escape pod. As the hatch sealed, he caught one last glimpse of the ship he had fought for, bled for, his home, vanishing into the void under Zenith control. Then the pod ejected, spiraling toward the icy wasteland of Chorus 5. The pod hit the atmosphere like a meteor, shaking violently as flames licked at its hull. Leora clung to her seat, desperately managing the descent controls, while Vex gritted his teeth against the pain of his wound. "Impact in 10 seconds!" Leora shouted. The pod screamed through the sky, then slammed into the frozen surface of Chorus 5, carving a long trench of ice and steel. For a long moment, there was only silence. Then, a sharp hiss as the emergency hatch blew open. Ryan staggered out into the frigid air, his breath turning to mist. Around him, jagged ice formations stretched for miles, illuminated by the eerie light of a dying red sun. Arik emerged next, pulse rifle in hand, scanning for hostiles. "Everyone alive?" Leora groaned as she crawled out, checking on Vex, who winced in pain but gave a weak thumbs up. "Barely." Ryan exhaled. They had survived. But now, stranded in an unknown environment with no ship, no resources, and an enemy fleet in orbit, survival was far from guaranteed. He turned his gaze toward the horizon and froze. Massive alien ruins jutted out of the ice like ancient monoliths. Strange energy pulses flickered within them. Leora followed his gaze. "What the hell is this place?" Ryan tightened his grip on his rifle. "Maybe the key to getting our ship back." The wind howled across the frozen plains of Chorus 5, cutting through the wreckage of their escape pod like a blade of ice. Ryan pulled his tattered jacket tighter around himself, his breath crystallizing in the frigid air. Behind him, Leora knelt next to Vex, pressing a heated compress against his wound. "This'll hold for now," she murmured, "but he needs proper treatment soon." Vex groaned. "So, no celebratory drinks yet?" Arik smirked, hoisting his rifle over his shoulder. "Maybe after we steal our damn ship back." Ryan ignored the banter, his eyes fixed on the ruins ahead. They loomed over the frozen wasteland, massive stone spires protruding from the ice like the broken ribs of some ancient giant. Strange blue glyphs pulsed faintly along the surface, forming patterns that shifted like they were alive. "I don't like this," Arik muttered. "Nobody just leaves structures like these behind unless there's a damn good reason." Leora adjusted her scanning device, eyes widening at the readings. "Captain, this isn't just an old ruin. It's active. There's power running through this place, and it's not human." Ryan exchanged a look with her, then moved forward. "Then let's find out who left the lights on." The entrance was a yawning archway, its edges etched with glowing blue lines that pulsed in sync with their heartbeats, as if the ruins could sense them. As they stepped inside, the temperature rose slightly, the ice giving way to smooth, obsidian floors. Leora's fingers flew over her scanner. "These readings are impossible. This place is generating energy, but the source is untraceable. It's like it's pulling from a dimension that doesn't exist." Vex, despite his injury, let out a low whistle. "Precursor tech. This is the real deal." Ryan frowned. "We need to focus." If there's something here that can help us take back the Nebula Strider, we find it and get out before Zenith tracks us." They ventured deeper. The corridor walls shifted and reformed subtly, as if responding to their presence. Symbols pulsed faster as they passed, almost like whispering voices. Then the path opened into a massive chamber. A floating monolith dominated the center, suspended in mid-air by forces beyond comprehension. Lines of blue circuitry crisscrossed its dark surface, forming incomprehensible geometric patterns that seemed to change when viewed from different angles. And then, it spoke. The voice wasn't a sound. It bypassed their ears entirely, resonating directly inside their skulls like an alien whisper. Leora gasped. It's interfacing with us. It's alive." Ryan clenched his jaw. "Ask it if it can help us take back our ship." Leora hesitated, then spoke carefully. "Can you understand us?" The glyphs on the monolith flared bright. The voice returned, clearer, ancient yet mechanized. The chamber shook as energy crackled through the air. A holographic interface materialized before them, displaying a star map, one centered on the Nebula Strider. Ryan stepped closer, heart pounding. "It knows where our ship is." Leora's fingers danced across the projection. More than that, it's offering a connection. "Captain, this thing, this machine, it's a neural interface system. If we can sync it with our tech, we could potentially hijack the Nebula Strider remotely." Vex chuckled weakly. "You're telling me we just stumbled into the universe's most advanced hacking tool?" Arik remained tense. "And we're just gonna trust an alien supercomputer that talks in our heads?" Ryan narrowed his eyes. "We don't have a choice. The Zenith took our ship. Now we take it back." He turned to Leora. "Can you activate it?" She hesitated, but then placed her hand against the monolith. The moment she did, the ruins lit up, and the real fight began. A wave of data flooded Leora's mind the instant she touched the monolith. Images, numbers, blueprints, an entire interface system far beyond human technology surged through her neurons. She gasped, her body locking in place as her pupils dilated, glowing faintly blue. "Leora!" Ryan grabbed her shoulders, shaking her lightly. She sucked in a sharp breath, blinking rapidly. I'm fine," she stammered, though her voice trembled. It's like I can see everything. The Zenith warship, their network, even—" She trailed off, staring at something none of them could see. "Even what?" Arik demanded, gripping his rifle. "The Nebula Strider," she whispered. Ryan's heart slammed against his ribs. "You can access it?" Leora closed her eyes for a moment, as if listening. "Not directly. The Zenith have it locked behind quantum firewalls, but—" Her eyes snapped open. "There's an outpost nearby, a relay station. If we override its security protocols, I can piggyback onto their mainframe and break into the ship's systems remotely." Vex smirked weakly. "So we're gonna hijack a hijack? I like it." Arik didn't look convinced. "Zenith doesn't leave relay stations unguarded. It'll be crawling with troops." "Then we do it quietly," Ryan said. "Stealth approach. Get in, get the codes, and get out before they even know we were there." Leora shook her head. "Won't work. The moment I interface with their systems, they'll know. We need a distraction. Something to split their forces while I break in." A slow grin crept across Arik's face. "Well, Captain, if you need something blown up, I'm your guy." Ryan clapped him on the back. "Then let's get to work." The Zenith relay station sat atop a frozen cliffside, built into the jagged rock like a fortress of steel and obsidian. Turrets lined the perimeter, and drone sentries floated along designated patrol paths, scanning for intruders. The four of them crouched behind an outcropping of ice, scouting the defenses. The outpost's central antenna pulsed with a faint blue light, an active link to the Zenith warship above. Arik let out a low whistle. Heavy security, sniper nests, auto turrets, and that landing pad? Yeah, they've got reinforcements on standby. Vex sighed. Getting in unnoticed isn't happening. Good, Ryan muttered. We're not here to be subtle. Arik grinned and set the charges. Boom! The first explosion tore through the eastern barricade, sending a fireball roaring into the frozen night. The Zenith guards barely had time to react before Arik fired again, detonating the fuel reserves near the supply depot. The camp erupted into chaos. Go, Ryan ordered. They moved fast, weaving between shadows, using the smoke and fire as cover. Arik and Vex provided suppressing fire, picking off sentries as Ryan and Leora sprinted towards the command tower. A Zenith trooper spotted them, raising his weapon. Ryan dove forward, tackling the soldier before he could fire. They crashed into the snow, and in one swift motion, Ryan drove his combat knife into the trooper's throat. He didn't even scream. Keep moving! Leora reached the control panel at the base of the tower, panting. Cover me! Ryan turned, firing at the incoming Zenith troops. Arik's explosives had drawn most of them away, but a few squads remained, and they weren't going down easy. Leora worked fast, her fingers flying across the interface. Inside the Zenith warship, the firewalls flickered. I'm in, she shouted. Just a few more seconds. A Zenith sniper took position on a nearby ridge, lining up a shot on Leora. Ryan's eyes locked onto the glint of the scope. Bang. The sniper's head snapped back, a hole punched clean through his helmet. Vex lowered his smoking rifle. Got him. Leora's screen flashed green. I've got the override codes. Alarms blared across the outpost. Zenith forces had realized what was happening. Time to go! Ryan barked. Arik detonated the final charges, collapsing part of the command tower just as they sprinted back into the frozen night. Zenith soldiers scrambled to respond, but by the time they reached the relay station, the crew was already gone. And far above Chorus 5, aboard the Nebula Strider, a new signal appeared in the ship's interface. A single command. Remote access granted. Ryan grinned. Now, let's take our damn ship back. The stolen Zenith hoverbike engines roared as Ryan and his crew sped across the frozen wastelands of Chorus 5. Behind them, the Zenith outpost lay in ruins, smoke curling into the star-lit sky. Status? Ryan called over the comms. Leora, riding just ahead, her fingers still linked to her portable interface, replied, I have partial access to the Nebula Strider. I can override security, but they've locked down the main hangar. Then we make them unlock it, Arik growled. Ahead, the Zenith warship loomed in the upper atmosphere, a monstrous black silhouette against the dying red sun. The Nebula Strider, their ship, their home, was docked within its massive hull, shackled by magnetic clamps. Vex, gripping the handlebars of his own bike with one hand and clutching his injured side with the other, grunted. We got a plan for getting up there? Or are we just riding into orbit and hoping for the best? Shuttle Bay, Ryan replied. Zenith sent their troops down in dropships. One of those should still be there. Leora's hands blurred over her interface. I see it. Marking coordinates now. A red waypoint flashed on their HUDs. Let's move. The Zenith shuttle pad sat at the edge of a towering ice ridge. 2 black-armored dropships rested within, guarded by a handful of Zenith soldiers. Arik skidded his bike to a halt. Let's make this quick. Ryan dismounted and drew his pulse rifle. We go silent, no alarms. Leora, find us a ride. She nodded and sprinted toward the nearest dropship, while Ryan, Arik, and Vex moved in on the guards. A Zenith trooper stood by the entrance, scanning the horizon. He never saw Ryan's knife coming. The blade slipped between the plates of his armor, and Ryan eased him to the ground without a sound. Arik handled another, slamming the butt of his rifle into the trooper's throat, then finishing him with a single shot to the chest. Vex, despite his wound, sniped the remaining guard from a distance with his silenced pistol. The area was clear. Leora waved them over. "This one's fueled and ready." They piled into the Zenith dropship, the engines humming to life as Leora took the pilot's seat. The black hull of the Zenith warship loomed overhead, its docking bay like a gaping maw. "Here we go," Leora muttered, guiding the shuttle upward. As they ascended, a hail of messages flooded the Zenith comm channels. "Unknown shuttle, identify yourself. Security breach detected at Outpost Theta. Check all inbound transports. Commander Dorn wants a full lockdown, no one in or out." Ryan's jaw tightened. "We're running out of time." Leora exhaled sharply. "I can fake our credentials for about 10 seconds once we hit the hangar. After that, every Zenith trooper on that ship will know we're here." "Then we don't waste those 10 seconds," Ryan said. The hangar doors opened, and the dropship glided inside. The heist was on. The Nebula Strider lay clamped to the deck, towering over the surrounding Zenith ships like a captured beast. Dozens of enemy troops patrolled the hangar, unaware of their imminent fight. As the dropship settled onto the deck, Leora whispered, 3, 2, 1. The fake clearance codes expired. Alarm klaxons blared. "Move!" Ryan barked. The moment the ramp dropped, they hit the ground running. Arik tossed a det pack onto a nearby fuel tank and detonated it. A fireball engulfed the eastern side of the hangar, sending Zenith troops scrambling. Vex picked off officers from a distance, his shots precise and deadly. Leora sprinted for the main terminal, diving behind cover as enemy fire shredded the air around her. "I need a minute to override the clamps." Ryan and Arik pushed forward, laying down suppressing fire as more Zenith soldiers poured into the hangar. A heavily armored Zenith enforcer stomped onto the battlefield, wielding a heavy plasma repeater. Arik cursed. "I hate these guys." Ryan grabbed a shock grenade from his belt and hurled it. Electricity arced through the enforcer's armor, stunning him just long enough for Arik to fire an explosive round straight into his chest. The enforcer crumpled, smoke rising from the crater in his torso. Leora yelled, "The clamps are disengaged! We can launch!" Ryan opened his comms. "Vex, get to the guns! Arik, start the engines!" They bolted up the Nebula Strider's ramp as gunfire rained down on them. The ship shook to life, thrusters rumbling as Arik fired up the core. "Hangar doors are still closed," Leora warned. Ryan grabbed the controls and angled the ship's main cannons at the entrance. "Not for long!" He pulled the trigger. A blazing plasma blast tore through the hangar bay doors, opening a path to freedom. "Punch it!" Ryan roared. The Nebula Strider surged forward, breaking free of the hangar just as Zenith interceptors scrambled to pursue. "We've got incoming!" Vex called from the gunner's seat, already firing at the approaching Zenith fighters. "Shields holding at 60%, Leora warned. "We can't take a prolonged fight." "Then we outrun them," Ryan growled, pushing the engines to max burn. The ship tore through the Zenith fleet, dodging turret fire as it barreled toward open space. A cruiser moved to block their path, its forward cannons charging. Leora's hands danced over the console. "I think I can use the monolith's code to disrupt their targeting systems." "Do it!" Ryan shouted. A wave of energy pulsed from the Nebula Strider. The Zenith cruiser's targeting sensors glitched, firing wildly into empty space. Arik whooped. "I am never getting tired of that." The ship rocketed past the cruiser, breaking free of the fleet's gravitational well. Ryan exhaled sharply as they cleared the combat zone, the stars stretching into the vast void beyond. They were free. For now. As the adrenaline faded, the crew slumped into their seats. Vex grinned despite his wounds. "That was insane," Arik chuckled. "Told you we'd get her back." Leora, still breathless, looked up at Ryan. "So, what now, Captain?" Ryan stared at the vast, endless stars ahead. They had won this battle, but the war with Zenith was far from over. He smirked. "Now, we make them regret ever taking our ship."